Welcome back to Phillips Hot Rod Garage. All right, this week we're back for part 6 of the subrail install on the Model A coupe. We're installing the Steadfast Manufacturing curved rear subrails. Last week we got a good bit accomplished. We got the rear body panel, the rear cross member, and the quarter panels all lined up together, but we put the trunk on the car and realized that the trunk just does not fit. We got a lot of work to do to get this trunk open and squared up. We still got a lot to do to get these subrails to fit correctly. So I think the best thing to do, get the trunk open and squared before I start working on the subrail. So that's where we're going to pick up in this video this week, is trying to get the trunk to fit a little bit better with the quarter panels. Once we get that done, we're back on the subrails. All right, so the first thing I got to do is get this trunk off of here, get it out of my way. And we got to set up this laser. Perfect. No, just kidding. All right, now we got to try to get this thing lined up. Well, that's not good. That's not good. All right, let's check that and see how we're looking. All right, looking in here, my laser's lined up pretty good with my mark on the firewall. It's also lined up pretty good with my marks that I made here in the cross seals. Now these holes are not in the center. Couldn't use those, had to make some new marks. Measured to be sure. Also my marks here are lined up pretty good. So let's take a look at the back. All right, so this is pretty much what I expected. The whole rear clip's got to shift to the passenger side. All right, but something else I'm looking at is the car is not sitting level. You can see right here, the laser is above that hole, and on the passenger side, it's actually below that hole. Let's go look at it. You can see what I'm talking about. It's below the hole. And you can see it on the doors too. The laser on the driver's side is not showing up on the door because it's actually going above the window opening. And on the passenger side, you can see where it's sitting on the door. Car is pretty far out of level. All right, so I got some little pieces of steel here. I'm gonna just stick 2 up under here. I'm gonna pry the body up. Now these won't be here. The body's gonna fit right tight down against the frame when it's done. But this is all just temporary, just to hold everything level while I'm doing fabrication work. All right, let's check that. All right, that's a whole lot better up there, but we still got to have a little bit more spacer. We're still under it on the passenger side, and we're still a little bit above the bottom of the hole on the driver's side. So we got to go up a little bit more. All right, let's try that. All right, we're just under it on the driver's side. Still a little bit further below it on the passenger side. I think we got to have some more. We probably need to put some back here. That ought to work. All right, so I got to make some more adjustments here. That's close. Let's look at it. All right, just got to go over toward the driver's side a little bit. Let's look at that. That looks pretty good right there. We'll adjust the height of it a little bit. It's aggravating, guys. It is aggravating. Perfect on the firewall. Perfect here and here. So we're good now. Now what about up here? Yep, it's not right. So I think I put too much under the driver's side here. We'll pull one of these plates back out. And hopefully that gets me where I need to be. So let's take a look. Here's the driver's side. just below the hole. Passenger side, just below the hole. Center to the firewall. Lined up with my marks on the floor seals. All right, so I think that's about as close as I'm gonna be able to get it as far as shooting that laser down through there. I think I got some pretty accurate lines now to go by. Now it's time to start shifting things around. All right, so I'm gonna measure the top trunk opening over to the laser just to see how far off it is. (18 3/8). All right, that's 18 1/2. All right, so we're pretty close up here. We got 18 3/8 on the driver's side, 18 1/2 on the passenger side. That's an 1/8 of an inch difference. What that means is I'm not an 1/8 of an inch off. I'm half that distance off, because if I move the laser over 1/16 of an inch, then the measurement's going to be exact same on both sides. I'm only a 1/16 off. That's not very much. So let's see what we got at the bottom. All right, so on the passenger side, it looks like I got about 17 5/8. On the driver's side, I got 18. That's 3/8 of an inch difference. What that means is we're going to have to move the back of the car over about 3/16 of an inch to make that be in the center. So now we got to figure out what to do to make that happen. That might work. All right, so what I'm going to try is this piece of angle iron clamped to this corner, and then I got it running all the way over to the other side of the car up at the B pillar. I'll show you that. All right, so I got it coming up to here. I got it clamped here. What I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to pry this back, and hopefully it'll push that side over. All right, that seemed to have worked. Let's go check it and see. Yeah, it moved. It did good. I'm glad it moved that easy. All right, let's see where we're at on this now. That's 18 9/16. And that's 18 5/16. 4/16, that would be 1/4 of an inch. So we're 1/8 out at the top. Let's see where I'm at the bottom now. 17 7/8. (17 7/8). All right, the bottom is perfect. All right, so I want to stick this trunk on here. This is the trunk I got from Larry down at Box Cars Garage. I want to stick this on here and just see how it's going to fit now. All right, I can already tell that we're a whole lot closer than we have been. All right, so I want to take a quick measurement here just to see how close the trunk is to being centered. The trunk is 35 3/8 of an inch wide. Half of that would be 17 11/16. The trunk to the center, or to the red line here, is currently at 17 9/16. That would be 1/8 of an inch too far to the passenger side. So what has happened is when I moved the whole rear clip over toward the passenger side enough to get this centered, I also moved the top along with it. The top, I needed it to stay where it was. Everything is centered now except for this right here. The car is racked to the passenger side at the top just in this portion, just a little bit. Now what might be holding it might be these tacks that I have on this bracing. That might be all that's holding it. I may cut the tacks loose, it may go right back over. I'm gonna handle that in the next one. For now, I got a little project I wanna do on the sub rails. We're gonna get back on that. All right, well that's the best I've seen that trunk opening since I've owned the car. It's always been really bad out of square, but that's the best I've seen it fit yet. So we're making progress on getting the trunk squared up. We're doing a little bit to it every week, but I just want to break that down into small portions on the videos. I want you guys to be able to see what it takes to actually get these cars squared up and how much effort has to go into it. But I'm just not going to make a complete full video on nothing but squaring it up. That would be boring. Nobody would watch it, and I get bored doing that kind of stuff. I want to get back to cutting, welding, and grinding. So we got these pieces that go in the sub rails that I'm gonna try to work on for the rest of this video. I'm gonna get these pieces to fit, so let me bring you in here and show you what I got to do. All right, so there's a few different ways to go about putting these in. Now you'll notice right here they've got this curved, they got a curve cut in it. That's so this piece fits back here like so, goes up against the sub rail back in that area. You can see it fits up pretty good with it. Now the only problem with putting it in that way is it leaves me short right here, and I have to make another piece to fill this in. So I'm gonna look at doing it a little bit different. All right, so a few days ago I called Steadfast Manufacturing and I talked to them about these pieces. I told them that they were a little shorter than what I needed, and I was told that if I would send them the measurements from these pieces and the measurements I need, that they'd just send me another set. It wouldn't be a problem. And then they suggested that most people don't actually put this full length piece in anyway, that most people are just cutting them off short, or at least maybe not most, but sometimes people are cutting them off shorter. So I got to studying on that idea. And I honestly think that putting these in shorter is going to be less work, and I think I'm going to like the way it looks a little bit better anyway. All right, so after studying on these for a couple of minutes, I think 7 inches is the length I'm going to make them. So I got to put some marks on here at 7 inches. To the other side. Seven inches. So what I'm going to do is just use this square to put myself a 45-degree angle on this, because I think 45 degrees will be close enough. "45 degrees will be close enough." All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and mark this one. All right, let's get to cutting. All right, so that one's cut to a 45. I'm gonna go ahead and weld that real quick, and then I'm gonna cut it to length. Well, my battery's dead and my shield. Let's see if this shield will work better. All right, let's check it out. All right, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go see how it looks on the car. All right. Looks like that matches up to what the factory did pretty good. So let's stick it on the back now. I think I like that. I think it looks good. We got the same angle back here at the back as we got going on up here at the front. So when you look at both of them together, it's kind of uniform. Got the same thing going on. So I'm pretty happy with that. Oh yeah, that looks good. All right, now I need to do the other side. Let me see how quick I can knock this thing out. All right, there's the second one done. See how it looks in the car. All right. Looks real good. I like it. I don't see anything wrong with that. Well, all right, guys, that pretty much wraps it up for the fabrication work on the subrail install, other than cutting off the cross members to length and starting on the floor pans. There's just really not much else left to do on that. It's coming along really well. I'm happy with the way those pieces came out. I'm really happy with that. So it won't be too long. We'll be ready to start locking the subrails down in place. Now, in the next video, I'm going to talk to you guys about this gap between the subrails and the frame, what's going on with that. There's a reason why that gap's there, and I'm going to explain it to you in the next video. I had somebody leave a comment about it, asking why that was such a big gap back there. There's not going to be a gap there when the car is finished. We're going to take care of that gap, and I'm going to explain to you in the next one what we have to do. Not a whole lot of squaring up left to do. The trunk gaps are getting pretty close. There's a little bit more left to do on those. We started with a really bad, really rough Model A body. We've got it all squared up except for a little bit of fine detail work around the trunk. We got all the cowl done. We got the doors to fit correctly. Now we've got the back end of the car squared up, everything but a little bit of work on the trunk. I mean, we just about got it where it fits on the 32 frame. You know, we're about over the hump with this thing. All we're gonna have to do now, after the sub rails are locked down, welded in, is get started finalizing the sheet metal work. We'll put some wheel wells in it, do the patch panels on the quarters and on the doors. Then the trunk, we gotta do some patch panels on it. But we're fixing to be down to sheet metal work pretty soon. It won't be long. So thanks for leaving comments. I really appreciate it. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Hey, I forgot my drink.